can't play victim. You can't act like you're just this innocent bystander who got mistreated through a rap beef that you started.
Except that's not what Drake was doing on this freestyle, and you know that. Hey, yo. So we're, what, 3 days into 2025, and already we have some movement. I'm not exactly sure where this was posted originally, but Drake had posted a freestyle called Fighting Irish. And in this freestyle, Drake aired out his personal feelings in the midst of everything that transpired summer of 2024. Now, some people actually like the freestyle. Some people actually like the way that he's flowing over the beat, and they don't really care too much about the subject matter because, hey, Drake is rapping. But then there's the other side of the internet. The side of the internet that all seem to be saying the same things. Saying things like Drake needs to move on and get over it and stop whining and complaining about the Kendrick beef. Saying things like this, which I'll get to in a minute, and saying things like Drake needs to stop playing the victim. Look, there's a lot of reasons to criticize Drake and how he chose to handle the beef, and rightfully so. Going on lives and making snide little remarks, petitioning to sue UMG and Kendrick Lamar, the dumpster fire that was The Heart Part 6. But this freestyle is not one of them. And as a matter of fact, this freestyle actually helps to reveal a different problem that actually isn't about Drake. The problem is actually the lack of media literacy when it comes to music. And as a matter of fact, I'll even go as far as to say that the entire Kendrick and Drake beef did a number on people's ability to think critically and put things in its proper context. Because the very first thing that Homeboy in his original video was absolutely wrong about was Drake starting the beef. As a matter of fact, if you really want to get technical, the beef started in 2013 with Kendrick's Control verse. But if you also don't want to go that far back, then technically speaking, J. Cole started it. But the biggest thing he was wrong about was how he interpreted the things that Drake was saying on this freestyle. The biggest and most obvious thing that stuck out, at least to me, was how Drake was lamenting his disappointment in those who he felt switched sides on him. Want to know why it was so obvious? Because he says it right here. Just know this personal to us, it wasn't just business. Now, it's heavily implied that Drake is talking about LeBron James and maybe DeMar DeRozan, but it's primarily LeBron James. Now, I'm a firm believer of not choosing sides in a rap beef, especially if you're a consumer, spectator, or someone who's not directly involved, because that's stupid. At the end of the day, it's just music. We don't know these people. But alas, fans, critics, media outlets, and celebrities who weren't even involved chose their sides, either implicitly or explicitly. Now, if the implication is correct and Drake is indeed talking about LeBron, I want you to put yourself in Drake's shoes for a second. You are involved in a highly publicized rap beef in which one of the biggest songs to come out of that beef that was directed towards you is a song that very loudly calls you a and to capitalize off of the success and the popularity of that song, your rival holds a concert in his home city where he performs that same song 6 times. And present in company in the crowd, singing and dancing along to the song that essentially signifies your downfall, who do you see? A guy that you've had a personal relationship with for years, a guy that you perceive to be your brother, and he's perceived to be choosing a side. A guy who, yeah, you have tattooed on you because you perceive your bond with him to be unbreakable, to be really close, to be brother-like, which the fact that people are using this as a talking point against Drake actually shows that lack of critical thinking skills that I was talking about earlier. Because the fact of the matter is, him having a LeBron tattoo and him feeling like LeBron turned his back on him actually makes the betrayal cut a whole lot deeper, no pun intended. Now, that's not to say that this song isn't without its faults. Like, he kind of does the same sort of posturing that Cole does on Port Antonio, that, you know, I'm not really bothered by everything that happened. And that's sort of the issue, because Cole and Drake both don't take any type of responsibility for how everything panned out last summer, and that's partially why a lot of people stopped taking what they say about the beef seriously. I will say, though, this part, God forbid we ever got to tarnish your public image, threatening to, I guess, ruin LeBron's image, if the implication is correct that he's talking about LeBron, is kind of corny. But nevertheless, that doesn't change the fact that Drake is justified in his self-expression. If Drake truly feels like the people that he was once close with turned their back on him, why is it a problem for him to express that? Why should he just get over it if this is how he truly feels? Like, it's funny to me that Drake is held to this weird standard that other rappers who do the same thing that he does aren't held to, and it puts Drake in a lose-lose situation every single time. It's like, on one hand, folks want Drake to go back to being the old Drake, the introspective Drake that used to rap about his feelings and be a little bit vulnerable, the same kind of Drake that people used to criticize and clown. But now that he's showing a sliver of the old Drake and talking about his feelings, being vulnerable and being a little bit introspective, he's being clowned for it again. I mean, we all heard Kendrick on the very first track of his new album express how personal he took it when other rappers outside of Nas didn't congratulate him for the news about him headlining the Super Bowl. Did anyone say that Kendrick was crying and complaining? No. Furthermore, we all heard him throw shots at Drake, not only on this song, but on the next song on the album. But was anybody saying, get over the beef, Kendrick? Stop talking about the beef, Kendrick? No. And that's not to say that any of those critiques are even warranted for Kendrick. I don't even think that those critiques are warranted towards Drake. Like I said earlier, there are many reasons to critique Drake and how he chose to handle this situation. But this freestyle is not one of them. Because as he said in the first verse, it wasn't just business. It was personal to him. Because we all know how much it hurts to be betrayed. So why is it hard for folks to understand what Drake is expressing here?